It's baffled scholars for 2 millennia. It is a puzzle made of multi-dimensional elements, an enigma with roots that reach back to the dawning of time, perhaps before. Daniel explained part of it. Ezekiel and Isaiah had glimpses into it. John saw it all for the time of the end. That time is now. Join Derek and Sharon Gilbert on a journey that spans the course of history, from Eden to Mount Hermon, from Hermon to Babel, from Babel to Rome, from Rome to the cross, and from there to us. Biblical prophecy is coming true before your eyes, and to understand it, you must discern the times both then and now. It's time to unravel the threads of this all-encompassing prophetic paradox. It's time to unravel Revelation. Welcome to Unraveling Revelation. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert, that Mrs. Derek Gilbert. Ooh, I love saying that. Welcome to another episode of this. We have been unpacking, we hope, the book of Revelation and how it relates to all of the Bible, all of prophecy, all of history. And it's taken us, 2.5 years so far?
So far, we're closing in on 175 episodes, if we've not hit it already. And we're still only up to the end of Revelation chapter 16, which just shows how much depth there is in there. But you can't understand Revelation unless you connect it to the Old Testament. And so there's a lot of interconnection here that we go through and unpack. And as the headlines warrant, we sometimes rabbit trail and talk about news of the day as well.
It's the year of the rabbit. Why not? It's our kind of year. We take our time because we're trying to understand it. The truth is, I've been studying Bible prophecy for over 60 years. And in that time, I have gone from what I was taught as a certainty to uncertainty, now leaning towards yet another, what I feel is probably a certainty. But I don't think most of a Bible prophecy can be written down, etched in stone. We know this is it, draw a line under it. Done. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think there are only a few things that we can take as a given, which is that Jesus Christ is returning, and when he does, he will establish his kingdom.
Yes.
And that he will reign here on earth, that at the end of 1,000-year reign, there will be another period of rebellion when God finally puts an end to all of that and establishes the new heaven and the new earth, and that will be the ultimate. We will live with God in that new earth, on that new earth, for all time.
For all
which
time.
Which really is a lot different than what most of us were taught or what we sort of absorbed from the culture, which is this idea that we'll somehow spend eternity floating around in the clouds with wings playing little harps. No, the Bible tells us we're going to be here on the new earth.
Yes.
And that's
I think it would be like
cool.
Now, only without sin.
Yes.
And a whole lot more beautiful.
Right. So that's what we're looking forward to. And what the path looks like between now and then, well, that's still a little murky, but remember, the apostles didn't quite understand Jesus' first coming, and they learned directly from him. So and this is because God does not reveal his plans to the enemy. He is called Yahweh of armies in the Old Testament dozens of times, and it's because he is literally a military commander who is still fighting a supernatural war in which we play a part. And sadly, all of us, because John writes, if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. We're still talking to the enemy, sometimes without realizing it. So God
at the very least, the enemy is listening.
And the enemy is listening. And they know Scripture just as well as, if not better, than we do.
Probably better. Yeah. I don't know that they get it any better than they did the first time because they still crucified him.
Yes.
Had they known, Paul says.
They would not.
Clearly, they did not know. So, we left off last time. We had covered the 6 bowls of wrath, and then we were getting into the judgment of Babylon.
Yeah, we didn't really deal much with the unclean spirits like frogs, the 3 unclean spirits, the demonic spirits who go forth performing signs before the kings of the whole world.
Let's do those after we finish with this whole bit of Babylon, because there's something that's in the news now that
I agree.
I think warrants that discussion.
And it's since it's timely, we really should dive into this.
It's timely in many ways, but dive right in.
The news that last week, as we're recording this, so this will be several weeks ago as you're watching this, revealed the unveiling of a new statue
in the city of New York. This is on a courthouse in New York City. It's an 8-foot statue that is titled Now. That's all
for
caps.
The National Organization of Women.
Right, which is one explanation for the acronym. But
I'm sure that's what it is.
Well, it may be. That was not part of the article, but I'm sure that was intended to invoke that because it is intended as a feminist tribute to the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Who is a big advocate of NOW, because NOW was going through, when I was in high school, National Organization of Women, they wanted this new enshrined equality in the Constitution.
Right.
And it needed to be ratified by, I think, 2/3 of the states or something. I can't remember what the law is. But it didn't get there.
Right.
The fact is that it was far too leftist. And the average woman in the households at home and in the workplace felt left out. And so they didn't vote for it.
Right. The Equal Rights Amendment was...
Women were voting.
Yeah, still just a dream in the minds of some.
And it was put forward by the National Organization of Women. They did not get that now era Equal Rights Amendment, did not go through, thank you, Lord, because it's crazy enough as it is. And I've been speaking on the topic of this whore of Babylon, what I believe is the whore of Babylon, which is Inanna. It's a goddess of the ancient world who probably was sent here to earth after the Tower of Babel event. So she probably became one of the leading worshipped deities very quickly, if not during the building of Babel, then certainly after, when the nations were divided according to their language groups. But it may have been invoking a pre-flood deity, and she just came in and said, oh, that's me. But Inanna we have records of her post-flood.
Right.
And I think this statue really invokes her.
I agree with you. This is intended to, again, the artist claims it's a tribute to Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It's
a beautiful statue as far as the artwork.
Right. And the figure does feature that trademark lace
that she always
Justice Ginsburg wore.
Yeah.
But when you look closely at it and see that the appendages, the arms and the lower legs are serpentine.
Yeah, the feet and the hands are serpents. Yeah.
That's a bit disturbing. But when you see especially the so-called braids, which are clearly ram's horns, I mean, here's a clue. Ewes, female sheep, don't have horns. Inanna, or Ishtar, the ancient Sumerian, Akkadian, Babylonian, Canaanite, named Astarte, goddess, was gender fluid.
She had horns because every deity had horns, male or female.
Right. So this is a depiction of, this is less a depiction of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and more a depiction of that gender fluid entity, the goddess or god, depending on her state of mind at any given moment, according to the ancient Sumerian hymns, goddess of sex, carnality, just raw carnality.
And yet she's standing on a lotus flower, which is a symbol of purity.
Yes.
Now, isn't that interesting?
Well, in some of the Sumerian hymns, she was described as a virgin, but it's clear when you read the hymns about her that she is not, that's really not, that's not who she was.
She is a gender fluid deity of all sorts of aberrant sexual behavior.
Right.
She is a bloodthirsty warrior, and she is sometimes depicted as the Virgin Mother.
She is, motherhood is not one of her characteristics from ancient Sumer.
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, her virginity was stolen from her, is how some of the hymns go. But she was goddess of the heavens, claimed to be equal to, in fact, claimed to be the frisky calf of heaven, which is a male deity.
Right.
She was goddess of the earth, but she also took the role of goddess of the underworld, which her sister, Ereshkigal, was supposed to be.
Right. In other words, this entity, as she was worshipped by the pagans in ancient Mesopotamia, was the queen of all things.
Well, that's how she presented herself.
She, according to their hymns, and believe, just to be clear, we don't put any stock in these stories. These stories that we are relating to you from the pagan worldview, or the fake news version of what the Bible presents to us, which is the true history of the world in this supernatural conflict. But we're passing this along so we understand better what the fallen realm wants its followers and wants the world to believe. And this statue, which is supposed to be a tribute to feminine power, women's rights, it is very much a pro-abortion statement, sitting atop a courthouse in New York City. And of course, the timing of this, following last year's ruling by the Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade, the 1973 ruling that made abortion a constitutional right, is not coincidental.
No.
This is a declaration by the pagan realm, and whether the artist knows this or not,
I don't think she does.
This is what it is. This is supposed to represent the empowerment of womanhood, and what it really represents is enslavement to this entity and the fallen realm in general.
I think so too. And again, as Derek said, we don't believe in this entity's power. This entity has convinced human beings throughout history that she is the true deity. That she sometimes presents herself as a creator. It's such a fake news version. It is such a usurpation of the true authority, Yahweh. It is such a rebellion. This is one of the reasons why she is particularly targeted for destruction. She is currently, I believe, the spirit that rules the world through economy, through this whole gender fluidity, through the desire for free sex, through the desire for no any sort of responsibility. If you want to go out and behave however you please to, it's just tissue, get rid of it the next day.
It's not a coincidence that this is all coming together, that these changes in how we are supposed to view gender have really come to the forefront of the culture wars here in the last couple of years, alongside this war for the legal right. I mean, there is no moral right for it, but the legal right to terminate unborn children. This entity represents all of that. But as you presented in a couple of different talks, one in San Antonio, I remember, one for one of the Skywatch TV virtual conferences, or maybe the one Skywatch TV conference in Branson, on this entity and how she, according to the Sumerian myths again, stole the gifts of civilization from the god of the Abzu, the lord of the abyss, Enki, the Mez.
Yes.
These were the principles that guided human civilization. This may reflect a political change in the ancient world 5,000 years ago or more, when Nimrod's kingdom, Uruk, became the dominant power in ancient Mesopotamia. Formerly, the kingdom of Uruk, the city-state of Uruk, the patron deity was the sky god Anu, who was depicted by the time of writing in ancient Sumer as remote and distant. The scholarly word is otios. He no longer takes an active role in human affairs. And according to Sumerian poetry that's been recovered, there was a king named Enmerkar, who I believe was the Sumerian Nimrod. Like Nimrod in the Bible, he's remembered in Sumerian texts as the second king of Uruk after the flood, after the great flood swept over. And he built up this temple to the goddess Inanna and made her the patron deity of his city. And then this city became the dominant kingdom, controlling everything from Turkey to Iran in ancient times.
I think this is what happened in the human realm.
Yes.
In the spirit realm, there were spirits at war with one another.
Right.
And the one that won out, that's the humans who won out. Because each city, as you say, had a patron deity and a gate to which you entered and paid homage. You left a sacrifice or an offering for that deity, because the deity's image was right there at the gate. It was called the God Gate or the Babel. The Babel.
Right.
If another city came in and conquered you, then it was believed that God beat your God. So in our Old Testament, when we see Yahweh come in and take over a territory, take over a mountaintop, stake claim to an infernal council, that is his statement of, guess what? I'm the one who created all of your fake news gods, and I am taking back my planet.
Right, and that's why Jesus spent so much time casting out demons, I believe, in Israel during his ministry. After, in the Old Testament, we don't see any demon exorcising, but Jesus and the apostles, they did that all over the place.
All over the place. And
New phase of warfare.
We'll get more on that after this break.
Prepare for spiritual war by arming yourself with information. Take advantage of these specials through March that dig deep into the Bible to help you make sense of the chaos around us. First, our Veneration Bundle, our 2 co-authored books plus the travelogue DVDs from our Israel tours. An $85 value, just $45 plus shipping and handling. The Second Coming of Saturn Bundle, featuring my book and the 13-part companion DVD, a $50 value for just $35 plus shipping and handling. The This Is War special offer, featuring the Second Coming of Saturn, 4 DVDs, and 7 hours of audio interviews with Bible scholar Dr. Michael Heiser, a $145 value for just $75 plus shipping and handling. And the Gilbert Fiction Collection, all 8 novels in Sharon's Red Wing Saga series plus my 2 novels, a $200 value for just $140 plus shipping and handling. These offers are available through March only at our online store, gilberthouse.org/store. And again, we thank you for your prayers and support. Welcome back to Unraveling Revelation. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert, and we want to remind you of a couple of things. One is that we have a brand new, well, relatively new, free app.
Please take advantage of it. It's a free download, but it gets you access not just to this program, but to all of our content. We do a weekly audio Bible study every Sunday, the Gilbert House Fellowship. Our weekly podcast on Saturdays, PID Radio, stands for Peering into Darkness. We started that back in 2005, and that's what's led to what we're doing today. And my weekly interview program, A View from the Bunker, which is video and audio, but they're all right there on that app. You can use it on your mobile device, iOS, Android, Amazon Kindle, Fire Phone, or tablet, or you can download the version for Roku or Apple TV and take it all right to your big screen. Of course, if you get it on your mobile device, you can cast it using Google's Chromecast or Apple's AirPlay. Again, it's free. Go to gilberthouse.org/app.
I like sharing it. Casting it is kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, I know. It sounds weird.
You can cast for, fly casting for whatever. But I also want to remind you that we have old episodes of PID Radio in the archives on that app as well. And one of our very early interviews was with our good friend Tom Horn.
We found those old archives, and we are uploading them as time allows. So interviews from 2005, 6, 7, with which were foundational to guiding us in our studies to where we are today. And you'll find those on the app under the Classic PID Radio, Classic VFTB. We've been doing this a long time, and I'm just thankful that we had the presence of mind to save all of those audio and video files.
Yes, thank you, Lord. Thank you so much. The other thing I want to remind everybody about is that you're looking at our studio that's actually off our bedroom.
It's a sitting room off of our master bedroom. And
seriously. We
have grown to the part, and thanks to your support, to where we really need the space. We need to expand the space. We have a 1,200 square foot. We need to get our house back. We need our house back. When visitors come, we have to put them on couches because we have no spare bedrooms. The bedrooms are all offices now. But we have a 1,200 square foot shop building. It's on a concrete slab. It is there. It's got power to it. We just need to insulate it, run HVAC, and basically then just set up clean it out and do some other things. But you can help us. It's not a great expense. The most expensive part came with the house when we bought it, which is the fact that the building is already there.
The concrete slab itself would cost about $25,000 right now if we were to build it. But it's already there. The building's done. We just need to insulate it, put it in the HVAC, couple of windows, seal the floor. That's it.
Right.
We're going to very, very, very simple. It's going to be just a simple set dressing in the back with maybe some quilts or whatever.
And we'll get those at the flea market.
Or just take them from the house. We got tons of those. But the total cost, we think, is going to be about $15,000. So we call this Build Barn Better.
Yes. The World Economic Forum wants to build back better. Well, we're going to build barn better and continue doing what we do, but with a little more shoulder room. And again, we're thankful because in large part, it's because we need more room for books and DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we'd like to have family come and visit, and right now there's just no place to put anybody. So
we'll do presentations out there and a whole bunch of stuff and have more DVD teachings for you in the future with that studio space. So build Barn better. Go to gilberthouse.org/donate to help out. Inanna.
This entity, we're talking about politics in the spirit realm, and it seems to mirror, or rather human politics seems to mirror what's going on in the spirit realm. One of the things I found really interesting when I was researching the second coming of Saturn, there's a paper about the Babylonian god who the Romans called Saturn, that is Enlil, and it was believed that Enlil from very early times was the dominant ruler of the pantheon in Sumer and Akkad. Turns out that's not the case. It was Inanna who initially granted kingship to human rulers. But as the Akkadians moved into what is now southern Iraq, into Sumer, they brought with them the worship of this god Enlil, who was also El of the Canaanites, and he took over that role. Now, in the Bible, I believe this is the leader of that rebellion in Genesis chapter 6, named Shemaiah in the book of 1 Enoch. He's in the abyss, according to Peter and Jude. And yet he still has minions who are helping to influence things on planet Earth.
His kids
like a mob boss.
Earth.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and we're talking about demons. The spirits of the demons created.
The spirits of the Nephilim.
The spirits of the Nephilim. So his influence became dominant. He was the one who dispensed kingship unto rulers. And Inanna sort of took a back seat. But I don't think she liked it very much. Because
no, she didn't.
She probably is more fully described in Sumerian myths than any of the other entities, any of the other deities, except maybe for Enki.
Possibly Dumuzi too. He gets a lot of lines
of
of poetry. Yeah.
But it's very interesting that she has been so influential for so long, because as you go through history into the biblical period, she's Astarte of the Bible. The Greeks called her Aphrodite. The Romans call her Venus. She's also called, and this is secular scholars who make this connection, Queen of Heaven.
Yes.
Which is a term that you may hear from Roman Catholics or Eastern Orthodox Christians today. She was
That is
worshipped.
Not something the real Mary ever is referred
absolutely
to as.
not.
Never. No.
But she's referred to by that title in the Bible as well. So
No, not Mary.
Not Mary, the Queen of Heaven.
Right. When you say
Inanna, she, right. I make sure I get the pronouns attached to the correct proper noun. Yeah. She has been very influential for a long time. I mean, and again, this idea that she manifests in both male and female forms. While she was Astarte of the Canaanites, her male aspect, Athtar, was the war god. And interestingly enough, Athtar was the only entity, the only deity worshipped by all of the Arab tribes in the time of Muhammad in the 7th century AD.
Think about the direction that our world is going currently with regards to film, television, books, graphic novels. The ancient deities, let's say of the Norse, had Odin and Thor and Loki. And so we've had Marvel movies and Marvel comic books that are all about these deities and the wars that take place in Heimdall and up in Asgard and the realms of the Dark Elves and all of these stories that are based on actual Norse mythology. But now we have a female taking over for the storm god.
Right.
A woman becoming the storm god.
Right. In Love and Thunder, Jane Foster, the female companion of Thor's human aspect, becomes Thor. And I think you're right. In fact, this is a theme running through a number of the storylines in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes.
And not that we want to turn this into a study of the MCU, but there are those who follow this, and the messaging that comes from these is very important because it influences the way young people view the supernatural realm.
It's the same idea of the statue, that golden statue. These are messages.
Right.
And over and over and over, once you hear it and see it and devour it long enough, eventually that's what you think. And you're afraid to say anything different because that's groupthink.
Yeah. No, we can't dare, we dare not question the idea of female empowerment. And of course, the irony is that scripturally speaking, Christianity and the God of the Bible was actually gave women more power than they had under any Mesopotamian culture.
So much more in the Old Testament and in the New. I mean, for Jesus to come up and tell those men, you cannot stone this woman.
Right.
To talk to a Samaritan.
The first witnesses to the risen Christ were women at a time when women in the Roman world were not considered reliable witnesses in legal cases. They were not allowed to testify in court, and yet the first witnesses to the risen Christ were women. Husbands, we are told to love our wives as Christ loved the church sacrificially. Women are only told to
be obedient.
To be obedient.
I know it's not a word that is popular today, but I think it means show respect.
Yeah.
Show respect to your husband. And there are times when we make decisions together. There are other times when I will pray about it. I have an idea of how it should go. And then I ask the Lord, if what I think it should be done is correct, please let Derek know that. He makes the decision. And almost always within 24 hours, you will come to me and say, I think we should do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what I had prayed about.
Well, and that's an example of the way God intended for the family to operate. Because the idea that wives should be obedient to husbands is not a master-servant relationship.
No.
Again, if husbands are truly honoring and loving our wives as Christ loved the church sacrificially, then this works. It's when one side or the other takes it to mean something other than what God intended. That's when that breaks down. And of course, the enemy, the fallen realm, these Elohim, lesser Elohim, like Inanna, like the storm god Baal, Zeus, Jupiter, Satan, would love for us to believe that this is just an example of the oppressive patriarchy trying to force women into subservient servitude.
It's the fallen realm that have enslaved women.
Absolutely.
Have enslaved all of us.
Absolutely. And this golden statue appearing at this point in history it's just another mile marker on the road to Armageddon.
It really struck us when we saw the story and looked at the statue and started, because this fine artist, she's got other works that have that same theme in it.
Right.
So she's got this idea and has been going for a while. And we need to pray for her.
Yeah.
I think pray for all of those with whom we disagree, because the Lord died for them too.
Absolutely. This will be heralded by many as groundbreaking, as brave, as signifying where women are in the 21st century. Sadly, it does that, but not in the way the progressives think. This entity, who, whether the artist realizes it or not, is depicted in this statue, wants to enslave them, and she is, as we will discuss in the upcoming weeks, the whore of Babylon. We thank you for watching. This is Unraveling Revelation.
Unraveling Revelation is a viewer-supported outreach of Gilbert House Ministries. Follow us online at unravelingrevelation.tv and gilberthouse.org. That's where you'll find our weekly Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship. We'd love to hear from you. Contact us through our websites or drop us a line at P.O. Box 78, Crane, Missouri 65633.